The moon belongs to everyone. The best things in life are free. The stars belong to everyone. They gleam there for you and me. The flowers in spring, the robins that sing, the sunbeams that shine, they're yours, they're mine, and love can come to everyone. The best things in life are free. The flowers in spring, the robins that sing, sunbeams that shine, they're yours, they're mine, and love can come to anyone, because the best things in life are free.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And yes, he was a theater major. We're gifted. The scripture today is from the Lamb's edition of the Bible. It's the first beatitude from the Sermon on the Mount. Matthew chapter 5, verse 3. Blessed are the humble, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. We have all played a lot of games. Card games like hearts and spades, board games like Monopoly and checkers. We call these games, but some people take them very seriously. All games have one thing in common. They have a set of rules. They also might have a set of tools, such as playing cards, a board game or pieces that you use in the game. Every time you play, you have the same rules and the accessories, and yet no two games ever turn out the exact same way. The 52 cards in the deck are shuffled. You don't start with the same hand. The checkered pieces are arranged exactly the same way, but once people start moving them, the game's totally different every time. In all the games, the more we play, the better we get at understanding the rules and which moves create the best outcomes. At the end of the game, win or lose, we start all over again. We can view our lives much like the games we play. In the game of life, there are fixed rules in the universe that we're all subject to. For instance, the laws of physics never change, and once we understand them, we can avoid making choices that create problems. We learn that if we drive too fast on ice, the car will not stop. We touch a hot stove, we'll get burned. We learn that if we cover our skin in the hot sun, we can keep from getting sunburned. Now, we could learn these laws of physics from our caregivers. They try to teach us. But unfortunately, most of us are pretty hard-headed. We kind of learn by trial and error. Life is kind of like that. Just as there are physical laws that we must pay attention to, there are also spiritual laws or natural laws that govern our lives. The law of attraction, the law of thinking, the law of polarity are just a few examples of natural laws. Living our lives, we learn what behaviors create outcomes we enjoy and which behaviors create outcomes that aren't very good, we don't enjoy. We learn very young that if we hit our playmates, our teachers, parents, and our playmates are going to be pretty upset with us. As young adults, we learn to treat people the way we want to be treated. These are few of the numerous rules of the game of life. We learn these rules and laws from the day we are born until the day we transition. Real life is much more complicated than a card game or a board game. But the analogy of playing these games and making decisions can help us put into perspective that there are expected pros and cons to every decision we make. Some rules have limited consequences, immediate consequences. If you fall off the roof, it doesn't matter if you're President of the United States or if you're just the guy on the street. The experience is going to be the same. And you will know the effect immediately. Gravity will introduce you to Mother Earth. It's an immediate thing. It's just going to happen. Some rules have delayed long-term consequences. For example, the law of forgiveness. The concept of forgiveness seems simple, but the law can be difficult to understand and apply. The benefits enter the detriments of using or not using the law of forgiveness in a correct manner can take many years to understand. Holding on to and constantly reliving events that hurt us can have mental, physical, and emotional side effects that last a lifetime. The side effects from misusing or not understanding the laws can prevent us from moving forward in our lives. We could compare life to a computer game that has many levels of difficulty. You know how you're playing a game, and once you've reached a certain point, they let you go to level 2, and you play and play, and finally you can go to level 3. But every level gets harder and harder. It takes more time to figure it out and more practice. In our lives, the level of difficulty keeps accelerating also. Elementary school, high school, college, summer jobs to full-time jobs, dating to living with a significant other to marriage. The rules keep getting harder, keeps getting a little tougher. In addition, as our lives get more complicated, spirituality, morality, a sense of fairness can play a larger role in our decision making and which direction we go. Many religions use parables and allegory that are not straightforward. It might be difficult to see the relevance of the scripture in our own lives. The scripture today, blessed are the humble, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. What is the lesson here? A person who is humble can experience the kingdom of heaven. Today, not tomorrow, not after 10 years, but right now. Being humble is a state of mind, a state of consciousness. Let's assume the Beatitudes are natural laws. And just as the laws of physics never change, the natural laws also never change. As metaphysicians, we believe that we can experience, or at least get a glimpse of heaven consciousness in our current physical existence. But just like the different levels of complexity in a computer game, we must master certain skills in order to open to different levels of consciousness. Thousands of years ago, the Egyptian mystery schools were teaching the Hermetic principles. One of these principles is the principle of vibration. The principle states that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. The only difference between anything in the universe, from something hard and physical to our thoughts to Christ consciousness, the only difference is the rate of vibration. I'm not a physicist, And this is why the sermon is titled A Theory of Heaven, because it is a theory. And moving on with my theory, we know everything is made of atoms, which are made from even smaller particles. Science has proven that these particles are always vibrating, just like the Hermetic principle said so. In the 1960s, scientists theorized the existence of a very small particle, much smaller than the atom. This particle was referred to as the God particle, because physicists believed that understanding this particle would explain many questions in quantum physics, quantum mechanics. In an attempt to understand the implications of this new particle, they developed string theory and M theory. So in 2013, this particle that was theorized in 1960 was proven to exist. So the existence of this God particle is also proof that string theory and M theory do have a scientific basis. So even though it's not all crystal clear and rock hard, they're moving along with their theories. A significant finding in the M theory is that mathematically it suggests there's 11 dimensions. Now we know length, width, height, and time, but mathematically they're saying there's 11 dimensions. The other 7 we don't recognize with our normal senses. But as metaphysicians, we know there are dimensions of consciousness that we normally don't experience with our 5 senses. We also know that we can experience some of these consciousness when we focus and alter our attention. When we're dreaming, while we're sleeping, we can see things we would never see in our normal waking state. Meditating, when we're awake, it's another state when we recognize there is another consciousness, something beyond what we normally see. So science is proving that different dimensions exist. Are these different dimensions just different rates of vibration or different levels of consciousness, like we experience in a dream state or in a meditation? Bible scriptures refer to the 3 heavens and the 12 gates to heaven. Are we familiar with the Bible scripture stating, we are all familiar with the Bible scriptures, I am closer than your breath, and the kingdom of heaven is within you. Now, scientists using the M theory view the 11 dimensions much like a loaf of bread with the slices of the bread. And all these dimensions are very close together with very little room between them. As metaphysicians, we speak of the veil between the earthly plane and the heavenly planes. Assuming the different dimensions, these different dimensions are levels of consciousness, how do we begin to access these levels of consciousness? There's a clue in the Beatitude I quoted earlier. Blessed are the humble, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Being humble, a state of mind. The scripture expresses it as a state of mind where heaven can be experienced. In the Lamsa Bible, humble is translated as poor in pride, unassuming. The Aramaic does not translate directly into English, so we need to look at these definitions in context and try to understand what the lesson is teaching. Consider poor in pride. I think of someone who does not have a big ego, who is modest or self-effacing, someone who does not feel they are entitled to special treatment. Considering unassuming, I think of a person who can be at peace with the way things are. If we don't assume, we don't feel entitled to what life should be, that what we should have, we're not disappointed by what life presents us. We're grateful for what we have. In this humble, unassuming state of mind, this consciousness, which is usually different from what we're always, every day we're at work, we're trying to do this, we're getting things done. When we can get in this state of mind where we're just present, grateful for what we have, we can experience different rates of vibration. We've all done this in prayer and meditation, where you notice your consciousness expands. One of the much used paths is meditation to get to these consciousness. But also in our day-to-day lives, there's many ways that we can live to start producing this type of humble attitude, just in our day-to-day work. Let's take a simple example by looking at various ways a person might view an old car that's dependable. One way of viewing the car is, I am thankful for this car. It gets me to work on time, warm and dry. I'll take care of it. It'll take care of me. I feel good about it. It's just another positive in my life. Another person, the exact same car, they could sit there and go, man, I really want a new car. I'm not going to waste my money on this old heap. I'm not going to change oil in it. I'm embarrassed to drive it. If it breaks down, I don't care. We know what's going to happen to that car. I mean, if you don't take care of it, it's going to break down. The person is ungrateful for what the universe has given them, and they will attract the problems they're expecting. Our thoughts are things. We create with our thoughts. This car can either serve us or cause us problems. This is an example of the natural laws of thinking and attraction. how it can affect our peace of mind and our physical reality. This train of thinking made us unhappy and our car broke down. Grateful for what we have is a mindset that can permeate all aspects of our lives. We normally think of a grateful state of mind as a higher consciousness than an ungrateful state of mind. Now, this is important. Our intention should be that our thoughts always make us feel better. Even if you have a problem, the thought is about how do I solve it? How do I work? Our thoughts should make us feel better. Thoughts that make us feel bad are error thinking. The analogy of the car can be applied to anything in our lives. Anything, your job, your friends, the city you live in. The vibration of being grateful is a different vibration from wanting and wishing. How can we change or modify the way we view or feel about something? If you focus your attention on any issue and are aware of your thoughts and your emotions around that issue, you'll know which thoughts are unproductive, which thoughts do not make you feel good. And if there's a situation in your life that a humble or unassuming state of consciousness might be helpful, where you might be able to accept it and see moving forward, if you can look at it with new eyes, every incident in our life teaches us something. Learning to accept every moment with gratitude and an open to whatever that moment teaches us creates a state of mind in which we can see and experience new things. What habitual ways of thinking or acting do you have that don't serve you? We all have them. We all have some things that just get on our nerves. Many of them keep us up at night. When you recognize those repetitive thoughts or actions that don't serve you, that detracts you from your peace of mind, you can begin the process of applying today's scripture in your real life situation. You pick something and then you go for that. What is it? How do I accept this situation as it is? Start working on an issue and wrestle with it. If you're not making the progress you'd like, talk to a friend. Talk to a fellow church member. Talk to one of our ministers. Our purpose as a spiritual fellowship is to assist each other, to help each other grow. Growing in our awareness, to live joyful lives. Is there something that always makes you angry? Or something that always brings feelings of regret? This is affecting your level of vibration. Study and contemplate today's scripture. A consciousness of heaven is possible here on earth. You have the tools and the resources to work through any issue that detracts you from peace of mind. When you have succeeded and changed your reaction concerning any issue, even the smallest issue, you will have found a method, a map, using life's rules and game pieces that will allow you to change your perspective on anything in your life. Everything is mental. Now, just like the computer games, there's different levels. Some things are pretty easy to rearrange your thoughts on. Some are up at level 5. But you must start working at level 1 and progress up with learning how to redirect your thoughts. We have all heard, teach a person to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. Teach yourself to raise your consciousness, your perspective on just one item. Then you'll have tools to change your thoughts on anything, your perspective. I come back to the Beatitude, which mentions heaven and a path to get there. Somehow we hop over from this humble to heaven. We have a scientific theory that says everything vibrates. Hermetic principles state the only thing that differentiates anything in the universe is the rate of vibration. Physicists are now referring more frequently to this vibration as consciousness, a universal vibration of consciousness. Heaven can be viewed as a state of consciousness. This state can be experienced when we are in a mindset that allows us to open our vibration to this higher consciousness. Repeating the call to worship this morning. You have a consciousness of God, but you do not live continuously in God consciousness. There's a reason we're on the earth plane. Most of the time we're supposed to be in this consciousness, but we can contact the higher vibrations. Whatever unproductive thoughts or emotions that are on your mind today, you can address today. Matthew 6:34. Don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will look after itself. Sufficient for each day is its own trouble. Pick an issue you would like to begin working on today. Blessings.